Explore Uganda, the pearl of Africa.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
A lovely morning to you. It is exactly 11 minutes past the top of the hour. That is 9 a.m. Thank you so much for being with us all the way from 6:30. We don't take our audience for granted. Really, thank you so much. You've made us what we are, being the leading morning talk show on the land. And that is because you wake up every morning with us. That is because of the comments you give in our feedback session. That is on our various social media platforms. That is the responses you give us. Really appreciate you. You've been faithful viewers 2022. And it's our humble prayer that you even tell a friend about our programming and of course more so our morning show that is very informative, very entertaining, and we set the pace of the day. So if you don't begin your day with us, then it may be very hard for you to fit in any meaningful discussion because we give you the global and the local perspective of what actually transpired. So you kick it off your day, very informed person. I'm Robert Chirapo Nyonyintono. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra, an extension of Good Morning Uganda. Now, we know we ended the year. And of course, we are in the first 2 days of 2023. Now, we just want to reflect on 2022. What were some of those outstanding achievements? And joining me on set this morning, I have a very interesting young man. Why do I call him very interesting? I've followed him over some time. He's very passionate about his political party, but he is also a political scientist, both by studying and also by actually actively being critical following the political landscape of our country. And this is Maxon Muhwezi, who is a member of the NRM Youth League. And I can assure you, when my cameraman zooms him, you'll understand when I talk about passionate about his party, but also very passionate about his country. Another thing I know about this young man, he's also a Pan-Africanist. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chirabo. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Uganda. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Robert.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to all Ugandans, the young people, and fellow Africans. I am happy once again to have the opportunity to be hosted here on UBC. Thank you.
Well, Maxon, we want to reflect on the previous year because one a political analyst said, you cannot know where you're going if you've not known your past.
First of all, I like your necktie.
Thank you so much. But for you Pan-Africanist, you know there's a political person I like so much that is in the USA. He's a former president. He expressed intentions to come back because he's among US presidents, he's one who has failed to have consecutive 2 terms, and that is Donald Trump. He usually has a red tie on him,
Republican.
On a white shirt.
I see.
So whenever I have a white shirt, I have many red ties.
That's okay.
I make it my habit white, I put on a red tie.
That's okay.
Donald Trump. He's one person I followed for some time, right from his businesses. I read so much about business. I like the way he was a bit comical, yet sometimes relevant, very controversial, very impressive, very funny. That's
okay.
Why one of the things I got on Trump, I said, I'll take the red tie on white.
That's okay.
Now, let's go to 2022. We begin with government achievements. There were quite a number of them. But we can begin with the field of infrastructure where we know NRM government. I want to use that because you're smartly dressed in an attire where I see NRM, that is your symbol?
Yeah, sure.
So
sure.
one of the things that prioritizes its infrastructure development?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I want to begin with a congratulatory shake to our security on having managed the situation of festive period. Usually, security is when it lasts for long in a particular society. People start equating it to air because air is free, you can breathe. And sometimes, to shock you, there are some Ugandans who believe that since Uganda is not at war, then we have a just society or a just community where there is no criminality, that maybe people don't have ill intentions and sinister motives against our country, and maybe the security is not working, but the peace, the security, and the tranquility we have in the country is just because men and women in uniform have sleepless nights to make sure everything is well. So I really want to congratulate our security forces on managing the situation. When you watch TV and you follow the global trend and you see how countries are in turmoil, in security, then you praise the security of the country. First off, 2022 was very, very, very serious. We had very serious issues like Ebola. We have situations like COVID-19. But God has been good for us. But even with that, I think we were able to, one, like you said, a question of infrastructure. You see, Socrates, or you can call him Socrates. Socrates is the founder or the godfather or the father of the father and principle of what we call philosophy or political thought. And he says that the secret to development is good governance or good politics. So the moment the country is always, any society, any country and community, even family, is as good as a head. As who leads, you get. So whatever you see, the development you're talking about, the key achievements, the fundamental achievements of 2022 reflect the kind of governance we have. Even when we had those issues that really squeezed the country, that brought economic meltdown, then all these health issues, but still, because of very, very steady and calm leadership, we were able to achieve. As we talk, Uganda now stands at 5,393 kilometers tarmac. And now look at 1986 when we had 1,500 kilometers, and even 40% of that was motorable. Only 40% was motorable in 1986. Now we are talking of 5,000. It is a great achievement, and one of the key areas of development is that at least people can be able to move, but also move with services, and also move with goods.
Because mobility is a tool for development of any country.
Absolutely. So last year we saw in Western Uganda, then we saw here in Kampala. Here in Kampala, we still have issues of potholes and dilapidated infrastructure and road network. But you can see, even with that, when you look at what is happening at Northern Bypass, when you look at that Entebbe Express Highway, then you look at the flyovers being established and constructed. At least, yes, we don't have a thorough and a better and 100% perfect road network, but you can give credit to the government with actually the resource envelope, because you see all these things have cost. They have cost. For you to tarmac a road, you need money. For you to establish electricity somewhere, you need money. For you to do something, you need money. So even with the resource envelope, in this economic meltdown brought especially by the Ukrainian war and all that, still we have been able to do something, and that is a very, very interesting achievement. Secondly, I want to again speak about security. Last year you
But maybe before you go to security, still on infrastructure, no doubt any person living in Uganda, when it comes to infrastructure, more vividly people look at the road network.
Yep.
Many times they may not look even at hospitals built, schools built, but I think because we usually move on these roads, and critics will vehemently look at the road infrastructure. But as we look about the achievements in this sector of infrastructure, to be specific, the roads, one of the things that has really still been a problem that I want you to explain to our Ugandans has been the challenge of cost of constructing these roads. We've had many political analysts or political scientists compare these costs to other countries within the region. Say Uganda, we are still the most expensive per kilometer, per this. We've had issues of quality of the roads that are being constructed. We still have issues of land compensation. At one time, I hosted Dr. Chris Bariomunsi, before he was the government spokesperson, before he was the minister for Information Technology and National Guidance, and he was talking about compulsory land acquisition. I don't know where that ended in Parliament, because at one time it had picked up.
Yeah.
And one of the things was cost of compensating.
You know, let me. One of the secrets to development in our neighborhood is that the state owns the land. You get what I'm saying? State owns land. In Kenya, the moment they say here at UBC would like to establish barracks or to construct a particular road or bridge, they go on. Then issues of compensation come later. Okay? But here in Uganda, it is opposite. I have an ancestry tree, and for you to cut that tree, you first give me 5 billion. And that is the liberalization we are talking about, especially by government. That one of the issues that, for instance, that Masaka road where someone was asking for more than $1 billion just because there was a tree, an ancestral tree. I mean, all those things scupper and they foil development. So what the Honorable Ryomons was saying is that the moment the government, in its wisdom, concludes that here we're supposed to have a road, a bridge, a dam, or even anything for construction, then the project goes on. Then they get what we call a government valuer, the chief valuer, government chief valuer, comes, evaluates the place, and he concludes also with the owner of the land, concludes on how much should be given, but as the project is going on. But here, the project cannot go on before you compensate someone. You get what I'm saying? Then they'll run to court, then the human rights. Then
Actually,
you know.
in this land compulsory, this is what it aimed at. They were saying that when people get to know that there's going to be a government project here, and some people in government actually, they would go and cheaply purchase this land. So by the time of maturity of this program, then, because here you have a willing buyer, willing seller, so a person is free to say a scape of land that may go for about 150. Someone can say, because it is government, and says, well, for me, I want $1 billion.
Yeah, yeah.
And government may not be able to pay that $1 billion. So they either have to change the design of the road, or government may weigh in and say, we are not able to carry
You're very
on this
right.
project.
In
So
fact,
he was saying what government will do when the government land valuer comes and says, the land value here is 100 million. Government will get this money, deposit in courts of law. If you don't agree, continue with the project. If you're not satisfied, you go to court and call for revisiting. In case court concludes that yes, you're supposed to get more money, then you get more money, but government will not stop the project.
That is the most important thing. Because you see, the government does not, in my opinion, the government does not have interest of just taking away land. Okay? It only wants to develop the land, such that development can go on, can thrive, the people benefit, society moves, and there is economic growth and development. However, not even that. We have had issues of ownership of land. Government constructs a road, and people, different parties are claiming the land. Someone says you gave money to people that are not actually real owners of the land, and someone says this land belongs to this. Then you have given this money to. So it is very, very unfortunate, and I want to emphasize the fact that most of these developed countries have a lot of control on the land. People do not have control. Yes, they have a say because it is their land, but government is number one, because they believe, and the belief is that government, the role of the government is to make policies but also implement them, and it cannot implement them while in office. Things must be done. So on infrastructural development, we are still foiled by such cases of land compensation. Then also corruption, like you've been talking about. You know, that is one of the cancers we have here. Corruption, 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 corruption. And the corruption is not only in politics or maybe in health or other, even when it comes to infrastructure. Today they construct a road, and then after 3 years, it has potholes, then it is dilapidated, then substandard. And to investigate, you hear that someone almost paid a half of what should have been paid. The other thing I was running towards security. Then I continue. We saw organized criminals here attack Kampala last year, and you saw bombs being thrown around, especially by these ideologically bankrupt ADF. But I really want to congratulate the government and also the security forces on their response, the swift and serious technical response that foiled the ADF, and we then followed them to Congo for Operation Shuja. Ugandans now can sleep. Yes, we still have a few organized, cases, criminality, but I think last year it was, particularly towards the end, it was a success. The other issue is how we defeated COVID. How we defeated COVID and how we defeated the Ebola. Everyone has been talking about how developed countries have strong health systems and things like that. Even in our neighborhood, even on the African continent, we saw quite a number of people dying of COVID-19. But, yes, we lost some people, but when you compare with other countries, you realize the leadership was very, very serious. And by the way, let me tell you, countries that had serious numbers of death due to COVID-19 are those countries, when you follow patterns, are those countries that, you know, every time talk about freedom, every time talk about human rights, I have a right to move, I have a right to, for instance, I was following China last night, and I mean, people are starting to die like flies, fall down, and there is surge, and the state is likely not to even have control. Why? There was that violence, a demonstration, where Chinese, the local people, the wananchi, were saying that they are tired of the restrictions, yet the government was actually helping them. So the government, of course, also listened to their say, and instead loosened. Now, after loosening, everyone had to move freely. Now the situation is uncontrollable. You cannot. France has already mounted checkpoints, and you must provide a COVID negative card to enter into France, and it is also encouraging other countries to do the same. So those countries that has human rights, and when you check the death rate and toll of the United States, and how they lost that, how they lost it with COVID-19,
so
it goes to...
Then what do you allude our success to? Because you're talking about human rights, do we allude our success to violation of human rights?
No.
So what was, what
are
the factors? Because we need our viewers to get us right.
No, here
topics of human rights are very sensitive.
The whole issue was leadership, and the Ugandans listened.
Okay.
And also, you can have a leader and people don't listen, because the state, one of the elements to show that actually the state is in control is the capacity and ability to command that support of the wananchi, of the population. And here you saw the president says here we are closing. For instance, here in Mubende, he says 20 days there is no movement, and people listen. After listening, after some time, because it is an outbreak, it is a breaking, people again move, and there is no Ebola. So the other side, I think people prefer human rights to anything, and they can now answer. However, on that other prong, but democratically or politically, last year it was successful, the NRM.
Well, before we go to that, we need to go for a short break, and our viewer will be right back. Let's just have a short commercial break, and I'll return with Maxim as we look at other achievements that dominated or we can be proud of in 2022. But we must tell you, it is your success as well. It is Ugandans working along with government. Like he has just said, Ugandans never rebelled. They listened, they worked with government, and you've continued to work. The wananchi working with security is how they have been able to break into these cells, these terrorism cells, and arrest those that were committing these offenses. So we are, of course, grateful to government, but also grateful to you for having aided the successful completion of 2022. We'll return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
Get yourself a Zuku TV decoder and satellite dish today at a low price of only 105,000 Ugandan shillings, and a Zuku decoder at only 60,000 Ugandan shillings, and enjoy your favorite movies, series, kids entertainment, music, local and international news, and lots more. Enjoy amazing packages like Zuku Smart, Zuku Smart Plus, Zuku Classic, Zuku Premium, and Zuku Asia. Get connected today. Zuku, life got better.
It's our mission to secure your money.
Protecting your money is as important as earning it. It is for this reason that the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda, DPF, was established by the government of Uganda to provide deposit protection to customers of regulated financial institutions. In the unlikely event that your commercial bank, credit institution, or microfinance deposit-taking institution fails, the DPF will pay you up to 10 million Uganda shillings. Keep your personal information such as national identification number, mobile phone, or an alternative bank account updated with your banker. Terms and conditions apply. For more information, contact DPF at Aha Towers, Plot 7 Lodell Road, Kampala. Call 0312 206 400 or visit our website at www.dpf.or.ug.
We are the DPF. We protect your money. Protection Fund of Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break. Thank you for being with us. It is Good Morning Uganda Extra here on UBC TV. And I have Maxon Muhwezi, who happens to be a political scientist, and he is a member of the NRM Youth League, with whom we are trying to reflect on the year 2022. What are some of the key government achievements and highlights here? Of course, and also looking at even how Ugandans were able to sail through. We've looked at infrastructure, we've looked at security, but also the health aspect of it, how we are able to conquer COVID. Yes, we may not have been declared COVID-free, but at least how we were able to conquer Ebola. We are counting 42 days down. Yep. Should we have the 42 days done without any new Ebola infection, then on the 11th of this very month, World Health Organization will declare Uganda Ebola free. So wherever you are, Ebola has had an impact on our economy, to be honest. Some tourists shunned Uganda when they heard of an Ebola outbreak. So once we are declared Ebola free, this is a struggle we must win together. Like I said before we went for the break, that much as we talk about these successes, the wananchi have been the wheel on which government has been able to achieve these successes. So let's continue working together even in 2023 for us to, for example, when we talk about ensuring that we don't register any other case of Ebola, we don't have to in isolation, fine, but we must be very conscious. How do you move? How all this so that we get to that 11th? And I don't think we are very far from being declared.
Oh, yes. Like we are talking about the discipline of Ugandans, the cooperation of Ugandans. We will certainly guarantee that. I'm so much pretty sure that we shall achieve that. Then Ugandans can now work freely. The other issue I was talking about before we went to the break was the politics. I think last year was a year of by-elections, and we still recall with fondness how the national resistance movement almost swept each and every by-election there, giving us a lot of hope and confidence that indeed the population of Uganda, most of the people and majority still have hope and also confidence and belief and trust in the national resistance movement. To me, that was, if you're talking about the government and the NRM, that was a serious achievement. I remember we also achieved on the prong of sports. So the gold medals last year, which I think should also be a focus, should also be focused on this very year. such that we can see as many medals, but also that is money that is entering into the country. And they also advocate for more funds and more facilities and attention and a lot of focus on the sports, because first of all, sports unites the people. Secondly, it tackles unemployment in one way or the other, but also generates a lot of money. Generates a lot of money. It is still a virgin industry here in Uganda, and I think it is high time we focused on it. The other issue was the other issue that I can talk about is the East African integration. To me, actually, when you ask, it is one of the greatest achievements and successes we registered last year. The recruitment and mobilization of the Democratic Republic of the Congo into the East African region really solidifies and strengthens our plans for strategic security, integration, trade, and all things. Because you see the 90 million people of Congo that are hungry for trade, that are hungry for purchase, that are hungry for, work and all that. I think it is a big plus. It is a big plus. So now Ugandans can freely trade with Sudan, Congo, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and all that. It was really a great achievement, and you reap what you sow. The moment we plant seeds of unity, then we shall harvest strength. We shall harvest strength, and I am also thinking that due to this integration and coming in of the United States of East Africa, I think we are going to deal with the major problems of Congo, particularly insecurity. I want to believe that,
we've seen this.
I want to believe the East African standby force. It is going to not to solve 100% and immediately the problems of the Congo, but it is going to be a plus, and maybe they lay a firm and solid foundation for the future. Then we can see a very good and developmental East Africa. So basically, quite a number of achievements, but for purposes of time and maybe logic, we can focus on that.
We are still looking at some of these achievements that really happened 2022. And when you talk about East Africa integration, I agree with you, because there is power in numbers. And of course, many Ugandans may say that maybe had Congo not joined, maybe even us getting access to go and hunt for the ADF would not have been that very easy. We saw the opening of the Rwanda border.
Sure.
That was also, I think, a big plus.
A very good achievement. Congratulations to General Kainerugaba, who had to mobilize all those efforts and tactical organization to make sure that border is also opened for purposes of the social movement of our people, but also trade also, because we know quite a number of merchandise go through that particular border for trade and money. But the other thing I maybe forgot to talk about and highlight is that after defeating COVID, we saw quite a number of elements and programs coming up. They had been suspended because of COVID and also Ebola, but I am telling you, I am in the realm of the young people, and I have witnessed, especially in the last quarter of the year, I witnessed quite a number of youth forums, young people participating at decision-making forums, at international forums representing Uganda. Then we saw inter-party youth platforms coming on for young people to discuss the future of the country, to discuss their future, but also to see how politics is going to be managed and how they can be part of the bigger picture of the politics. So it was also an interesting case to see young people try to cross-pollinate intellectually and share views and ideas. We have seen so many elections take place and all that, and many young people. But also, to resurrect and reconstruct SMEs, enterprises, and young people have been able to start some enterprises, small businesses. I want to believe that this year is particularly for success.
Okay, 2022 government made a number of investments into funds. One of them was also the parish development model. Something that I'm optimistic.
I thought we'd take it to 2023, then we see how it is going to...
because since the launch on the 26th of February, that was in Kibuku district?
Yeah, Kibuku.
I've been trying to monitor because very passionate about parish development model, because I believe if government planning, government everything has been brought at parish, the lowest planning unit of government, then, and people now have the capacity, because what it did is giving people capacity, ability to plan for what they need.
Last year I wrote an article about parish development model, and I published it in Monitor. And I was really mobilizing and rallying Ugandans to collectively support parish development model. That even before you talk of the negative about parish development model and maybe programs that the previous programs that have failed, first mobilize. I was calling all Ugandans, the religious people, you know, the private sector, the Ugandans, the political leaders, and everyone, the young people, to make sure they mobilize all their efforts and each and everyone around that parish, because it is the only thing that we think by 2026 will have lifted this country. It is not easy to say that each parish, just think about that, even holistically before, think about 100 million per parish. You get? Yes, it is not enough. People can say it is not enough, but I can tell you, if it is put to actual use and also monitored very, very well, trust me, we are going to see tremendous and serious development. I can tell you, it is one of the key issues that we look up to, and I see the president is very, very passionate about it. Surprisingly, I've also seen some elements in different political parties, not necessarily NRM, supporting that development model and trying to mobilize the young people and other groups to go and make sure they plan for that money to go behind that parish development model. I am, for instance, Kibuku was one of the first to receive the money, and we are seeing quite a number of successes. Even here in Kampala, for instance, Kampala was the first to be organized. The leadership here in Kampala first caucused and conferenced themselves here at Chitante primary. Then they also had training. I remember in Chira about how they are going to handle parish development. But even before other districts came on board, and they even didn't know what was going on, Kampala was already. And I want to believe we have not had funny cases of bribery, corruption, and blah blah. I think it is on a right path, and I can believe, I can assure you, we are going to have miraculous issues here.
Now, of course, in community development, usually it's not how much money you have, but how you're organized and how you plan for that money. Because 100 million, even if you're to go to a constituency, I just want to take you through. There's a program we had which was called Send a Cow. It transformed communities just by giving 2-3 people cows. When it gives birth, you give off a calf, and 5 years down the road, the entire village, almost everyone had an exotic cow. And
you see, when you even visit the NDP3, National Development Plan,
which is in line with the PDM.
Yeah, in line with the PDM. You look at the overall goal and vision is to basically transform Uganda, the society, or our society, from
peasantry,
from the peasantry to modern and sustainable, but also developed society. And it is for me, when you look at when you look at the projected outcomes and results of parish development model and how organized it is, because you see, for the first time, it is the only program that is reaching each and every dimension of our society, but also reaching each and every person. Because at least if you're here in Kampala, you have a parish. Someone in Koboko has a parish. Someone in Rujumbura, where I come from, I have a parish. And trust me, each and every parish is going to test on that money. But it is not free money. It is organized with hierarchy, with a lot of documentation and pattern. And everyone, the young people, the elderly, the women, everyone is going to be, but the political leaders, the religious leaders, everyone is going to be part of. So that's why I'm saying it is a national thing. We should be.
Well, we just hope and pray that we shall fully embrace it, but also those supposed to carry out effective monitoring and supervision will do that. Well,
so supervision was one of the, when you look at things like programs like Youth Livelihood Fund, that youth fund, one of the greatest mistakes in that YLP was monitoring. Young people come and pick money and they go and do their own things. Remember, they are young people. They need to be guided, they need to be monitored, they need to be supervised and everything. So at the end of the day, they come, they go to check on these groups. They did nothing. Maybe they misused the money. Maybe they didn't perform very, very well. And there was some seriousness there. This time, I see a lot of organization.
Well, we believe they've learned. There's been the parish development model. When you look at its inception, everything, so there's been so much correction of the past mistakes.
Yep.
We just hope and pray for the success. Well, Maxon, time is against us. We must be leaving our studios for the next program. But what are your final remarks? Also with prospects into 2023, now that you're already there?
Yeah, following the NDP3 still, and looking at the recovery of the economic recovery, especially from the COVID situation and this Ebola thing, I want to believe we are going to have a number of investments, especially from outside. You know, when you check, you find that the countries like Kenya, Belgium, and Germany are the leading countries with investments here. You can't believe it here in Uganda. And we want to see as many investors coming in the country because of security that we have talked about. We also want to see that parish development model actualized 100% with a lot of organization. How I also pray that the government prioritizes the fight against corruption. Corruption. It is a cancer, I can tell you, and it is mainly due to lack of patriotism. People occupying positions and maybe positions of leadership and decision making and also positions of influence for personal or even family and group interests instead of national interests. So how I wish the country and the government also prioritizes seriously the fight against this corruption. It is hindering. This is what we are talking about: substandard construction, substandard infrastructure, and all this stealing. You hear this: the medicine has been stolen from Rago; it is being sold. I know the country cannot develop like that. Then also, I also want to see, honestly speaking, Parliament of Uganda prioritizing and this time around focusing on issues and policies that influence the lives, that touch the lives of Ugandans, instead of pettiness, what we see them discussing. This one who talked about me in a WhatsApp group, this one abused me, this one who I want to petition, I want to fight them because they are in fraudulent marriage and things like that. I mean,
we need national issues.
Parliament is a national.
I think this time we've had more of disciplinary issues. And all.
Parliament is, imagine a member of Parliament standing on the floor and say, you know, sir, this member of Parliament was talking about me on a WhatsApp group. Come on, this is a national camera where intellectual cross-pollination should take place. It's a battle of intellectuality. and discussing issues and policies that influence the development of a country, but also touch the lives of the people. So I want to believe that Parliament now, let's give them a benefit of doubt that maybe, yes, I want to believe a few people have performed. Some members of Parliament have performed, and they are very, very serious. But this time, let's hope that maybe they were still trying to learn the environment and trying to understand and study what Parliament is all about. And let them discuss issues really that matter, but also touch the lives of the people. And maybe lastly, to see the young people once more and again realizing that this is their country. This year should be really our year. It should be the year of young people to realize that we are here much longer. We are young people, we are here much longer. We need to own this country. This country shouldn't be sold. Nobody should play with this country. Nobody should play with the development that has been established and also constructed and put by our forefathers and generations that have been there. And also to have that urge and courage to participate in politics and also occupy those positions of influence, such that you don't have to regret, because Aristotle also says that one of the greatest mistakes of not participating in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. So don't regret that, hey, someone is in Parliament and is doing nothing, yet you had a capacity to go and do what.
Well, Maxon, I just have to let you go. Very interesting discussions here. But also, I must add, of course, this year we don't have any elections, of course, apart from by-elections that may occur.
Yeah.
But also, for me, I want to speak to the young people, their choice of leaders. I think, Maxon, you have a long way to go. Educating young people in this country.
A long way.
We may condemn the nature of leaders we have, but I think people get the leaders. They deserve the leaders they get.
That's true.
Today, people are joking so much with the power of their vote. One for a bar of soap, the other because he's upset, he's annoyed, the other because of someone wave beauty.
Someone just
this guy is handsome, then he wins. This lady is beautiful, then he wins. I think the young generation.
But I know they can vote if you.
They must,
because you're also handsome.
They must find reasons. We must tell them the power that their vote has. Then finally, to Ugandans, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. What a man sows, so he shall harvest." All of us have a duty to build this nation. If you're talking about a corrupt-free Uganda, it must start with you. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.